Greetings and welcome back to Health Angel Solutions, my amazing health warriors. Before we begin, let me clarify that I'm not here to tell you to give up your favorite spaghetti carbonara forever because that would be medical practice against your happiness. Instead, I'm going to show you how to hack your favorite foods using both cutting-edge functional medicine principles and good old-fashioned conventional wisdom. Today, we're going to dive into what may be the most delicious episode of medical education that you have ever experienced. We're talking about pasta and rice for diabetics, and I promise you that by the end of this video, you will know more about blood sugar-friendly carbohydrates than most doctors learned in medical school. Let's begin with a brief assessment of medical reality. Traditional white pasta and rice are like a terrifying drop that makes you scream and regret your life choices, but the foods I'm about to show you are more like a gentle scenic railway through the Swiss Alps' pleasant controlled environment. For decades, people with diabetes have been told that they should avoid these foods like they're radioactive material. However, they didn't tell you that it's not about completely avoiding carbohydrates. Rather, it's about choosing the right carbohydrates and eating them the right way. And you genuinely find the ride enjoyable. Let me introduce you to what I call the pasta hierarchy of awesomeness. Let's start with the worst offenders, traditional white pasta, such as classic bara spaghetti. I love Italy just as much as the next person, but these beauties are made from refined semolina flour and contain about 40 grams of carbohydrates per small serving with less than 2 grams of fiber. When you eat this stuff, your blood glucose spikes to over 200 milligrams per deciliter faster than you can say, "Mamma mia," which is equivalent to injecting glucose directly into your bloodstream. The cruel irony of life is that the more expensive and delicious the pasta, the worse it is for your blood sugar. Some gourmet options can raise your blood sugar levels by over 220 milligrams per deciliter. Sometimes the best things in life are actually bad for you. However, when we enter what I call the compromise zone, we start to see some hope. Whole grain pasta, for instance, has twice the fiber content of regular pasta, and the fiber acts as a speed bump for glucose absorption instead of that terrible blood sugar rocket lounge. From a functional medicine standpoint, this is where things really start to get exciting. The fiber not only slows down the absorption of glucose, but it also feeds your beneficial gut bacteria, which over time produce short-chain fatty acids that actually improve your insulin sensitivity. In other words, your gut bacteria are essentially your personal diabetes management team. Another option in this middle ground is egg pasta, which is like applying a band-aid to a broken leg but beneficial because the extra protein helps to slightly cushion the carb load. Though not particularly revolutionary, we are now approaching the real game changers, and this is where I truly get excited as a doctor. Legumes-based pastas made from chickpeas, lentils, or black beans are incredible. They have roughly 50% fewer net carbohydrates, 3 times more protein, and 2 to 3 times more fiber than regular pasta. However, the medical magic here is that most people are unaware of. The high protein content in these pastas causes the release of something called GLP-1, which you may recognize from the Olympic mountain. Because you are taking hormones like the ones I mentioned, your food passes through your digestive system more slowly, which results in much more stable blood sugar levels even if you are not taking medication. Finding this pasta is like finding a unicorn in your pantry, but there's more. We have what I call the miracle workers category, and the star of this show is shake noodles, also known as konjac noodles. My absolute favorite in this category is edamame pasta, which has about 20 grams of carbohydrates, 24 grams of protein, and 13 grams of fiber per serving. When you eat this stuff, your blood sugar barely registers on your meter. From a functional medicine perspective, these needles are pure gold. They feed your beneficial bacteria and may even improve your insulin sensitivity over time. The only drawback is that they have a slightly unusual texture that some people find difficult to get used to, but trust me when you see your blood sugar staying perfectly stable after a big bowl of pasta. Let's move on to rice, the grain that feeds half the world and confounds the other half about blood sugar punishment. These translucent jelly-like noodles are made from glucomannan fiber, which your body literally cannot digest, so you could eat a swimming pool full of them and your glucose would not move a single point. I've tested every kind of rice you can think of, and the results may surprise you. Let's start with what I call the red zone rices. All of the white rice varieties, including long grain, jasmine, and basmati sushi rice, have between 46 and 48 grams of carbohydrates per serving with little fiber. These rices are essentially glucose tablets disguised as food, and they spike your blood sugar faster than a rocket launch. To be honest, they should have a warning label on them because sushi rice is the worst offender of the bunch, making my blood sugar spike higher when I tested it as a non-diabetic. But here's the interesting twist. Eating real sushi that contains fatty fish, avocado, and cream cheese causes your blood sugar to spike much more slowly but stay elevated for a longer period of time. It's like the difference between a rolling hill and a sharp mountain peak. Both get you to the same height, but the journey into the yellow zone is entirely different, and you know we have more sensible options. For instance, brown rice contains 41 grams of carbohydrates, but it also contains 4 grams of fiber and 5 grams of protein, which together form what I'll refer to as the glucose buffer zone. Therefore, even though your blood sugar still rises, it does so more gradually than a cliff. The wild rice is actually made from aquatic grass seeds rather than rice, but it still works because it contains 42 grams of carbohydrates, 6 grams of protein, and 4 grams of fiber, which gives you a much more controlled blood sugar response. Another intriguing choice is black rice. In addition to having a gorgeous, nearly purple hue that makes your supper Instagram-worthy, it is high in anthocyanins, which are the same antioxidants found in blueberries. From the standpoint of functional medicine, these molecules may help improve insulin sensitivity and reduce inflammation. However, the true winners are found in what I refer to as the green zone. With only 5 grams of carbohydrates and 2 grams of fiber per serving, cauliflower rice is essentially a vegetable masquerading as rice, and it works incredibly well. You can eat as much as you like without worrying about your blood sugar levels. Shikari rice is the rice equivalent of a magic trick. It has almost no effect on blood sugar at all. It's like having a get-out-of-jail-free card for craving rice. I'm going to give you some doctor's secret weapons, some cutting-edge tricks. I'm going to blow your head with some cutting-edge functional medicine techniques right now. Asking them, "Hey doc, did you know about this?" reveals that the majority of doctors are unaware of the test. The first is what I refer to as the Alante benefit, which is preparing pasta that is firm to the bite and actually reduces the glycemic index by 15 to 20%. My favorite trick is pure food science magic. When you cook rice or pasta and let it cool in the fridge overnight, something amazing happens. This is because the firmer structure takes more energy to break down, which slows the absorption of glucose. It's like the difference between drinking orange juice and eating the same fruit, which has a completely different effect on your blood sugar. The science behind this is fascinating. When starch cools down, the molecules form bonds that resist digestion, making leftover pasta into a blood sugar superhero. I know eating cold pasta doesn't sound appetizing, but you can reheat it and still get most of the benefits. Here's another trick that seems too easy to work but definitely does. Adding 1 to 2 tablespoons of vinegar to your pasta water, or rice water can reduce the post-meal spikes by 20 to 25%. Some of the starch transforms into what we call resistant starch, which functions like fiber and can lower the glycemic impact by up to 30%. Apple cider vinegar is excellent at this because its acetic acid inhibits the enzyme alpha amylase, which converts starch to glucose. It's like putting speed bumps on the glucose highway. However, the most crucial tactic is probably what I refer to as the protein-fat shield. Always eat your rice or pasta with protein and healthy fats. It's like having a whole team of hormones trying to keep your blood sugar level. This combination causes the production of various hormones that are beneficial to you, like GLP-1 hormones and CCK, which increase satiety, and PY, which decreases hunger. And consider Mediterranean-style eating. Your blood sugar and taste buds will both like it. Here is my groundbreaking plate architecture technique, which I teach all of my patients. Picture your plate split into 3 equal parts. Choose rice or pasta for 1/3. The combination of the choices we discussed will produce what I refer to as a metabolic symphony. 1/3 of your plate should consist of non-starchy vegetables, which are your fiber powerhouses, and 1/3 should consist of lean protein, which serves as a glucose stabilizing anchor. If you want to be more cautious, you can just use 1/4 of your plate. Each element cooperates to maintain your blood sugar within the ideal range. The moderate serving of pasta or rice satisfies your appetites without taxing your system, and the vegetables provide fiber that slows the absorption of protein and promotes healthy hormones. Do you want to discuss some sauce signs? Because many people unintentionally undermine their blood sugar success here, I refer to this as a make or break element. Certain sauces are the best at controlling blood sugar. Lycopene, which is abundant in marinara sauce and low in carbohydrates, is excellent for cardiovascular health. Arrabbiata sauce contains capsaicin, which may actually enhance insulin sensitivity, while pesto offers healthful lipids from almonds and olive oil. But then there are the bad guys. For instance, Alfredo sauce, which contains a lot of cream and butter, causes what I refer to as a glucose traffic jam. If you are going to eat sweet and sour sauce, which is essentially liquid sugar with a fancy name, you should schedule your insulin and medication accordingly. Timing is crucial, guys. There is a dance between insulin and what you eat. For my patients or friends who use insulin, here are some sophisticated timing strategies that can significantly impact your intake of high-fiber pastas, such as those legume-based options, where you can inject your insulin just before eating. Therefore, if you have type 1 diabetes or insulin-dependent type 2 diabetes, fiber slows down everything, so you don't need to start taking insulin right away. Traditional pasta should be injected 15 minutes before eating to avoid a glucose spike, and creamy sauces may require you to split your dose because your blood sugar will rise more slowly. For example, take half of your dose before the meal and half an hour or two after. However, because of all this fat, as I mentioned, your blood sugar will spike. These injections, particularly insulin, don't just work like magic. You have to know what you're doing with those insulin injections, and most people don't put in much effort to learn that. Now, let's look at some evidence-based supplements that can help you further improve your pasta and rice tolerance. The science here is all about matching insulin action with the glucose absorption patterns. It's like conducting an orchestra. Timing is everything. Your insulin sensitivity may be enhanced by chromium picolinate. Alpha-lipoic acid facilitates the absorption of glucose. Cinnamon extract may aid with post-meal glucose increases, while berberine functions as a natural cousin of metformin. Now, I always advise my patients to read up on supplements, look at their personal profiles, and take the right amount, but pay attention to how much they're taking. I'll share some examples of what happens when my patients put these strategies into practice because the results are truly amazing. For example, I had a patient named Maria who switched from regular pasta to lentil pasta and saw a 44% improvement in her post-meal glucose from 250 mg per deciliter to 140 mg per deciliter. Another patient, Jim, started using the cooling method with his rice, which decreased his average post-meal spike by 35%. I keep seeing that little adjustments have a big impact, and that's the beauty of evidence-based nutrition. Let me give you a shopping list that is diabetes-friendly so you can start using these strategies almost right away. For pasta, look for Barilla chickpea pasta, edamame pasta, Ancient Harvest quinoa pasta, and cauliflower rice. Fresh or frozen wild rice blends perfectly well, and black rice, especially organic varieties, is great. Don't forget to include shirataki rice for those occasions when you want to eat a big bowl without worrying about blood sugar levels. Consequences. When it comes to sauces, homemade pesto is always a hit, and Rouse's marinara, which has no added sugar, tastes fantastic. Sometimes the easiest choice is the best. Just garlic and olive oil, lovely. Here's a bonus tip that costs nothing at all and works like magic. Walking for 10 to 15 minutes after eating rice or pasta will literally cause your muscles to absorb glucose from your bloodstream like sponges. The science behind this is fascinating because it activates a protein called GLUT for transporters, which helps muscle cells absorb glucose without the need for insulin. It's like having a glucose vacuum cleaner in your legs. The next time your blood sugar spikes, don't blame the pasta. Instead, blame yourself for sitting down after eating it. Let me also address some common mistakes I see my patients make. The first is that they think that because they ate whole wheat pasta, they can eat twice as much. Listen, portion control is still important, even with healthier options. These alternatives are better, but they're not magical. Another mistake is that they think that they can just take extra insulin and eat whatever they want. This leads to blood sugar fluctuations and weight gain. The food industry is finally catching up to what we know about blood sugar management. More legume-based options, innovative fiber-enriched products, and better-tasting alternatives are hitting the shelves every month. I predict that in 5 years, blood sugar-friendly pasta and rice will be the norm rather than the exception. Trust me, people, just work smarter, not harder. Then, there are these alternative pastas that taste weird, so I'll just avoid pasta forever. Look, I understand that some of these alternatives have different textures and flavors, but try different brands and cooking techniques, and your taste buds will adjust, and the blood sugar benefits are worth the adjustment period. The food companies are paying attention, the demand is there, and the science is sound. Here is your step-by-step implementation strategy because I think it's best to make changes manageable. Week 1. I'll try one alternative pasta. I suggest starting with chickpea pasta because it has the most familiar taste and texture. Week 2. Try the cooling method on regular rice. Cook a large batch, then refrigerate it overnight. Week 3. Practice the plate architecture method. 1/3 of the pasta, 1/3 of the vegetables. Make eating 1/3 protein and fat a habit, and in week 4, incorporate the vinegar hack into your daily regimen. As we said, start with just 1 tablespoon in your cooking water and observe how your body reacts. I can assure you that if you follow these 4 steps, your blood sugar levels will noticeably improve after meals.